noise.
What was your perspective with the disco influence coming in to the scene, and how that changed things?
Well, with me, to me, when disco came in, there wasn't nobody, to me, there wasn't nobody but the village people than us. I always figured, it was, okay, they got this thing called disco. And just so happened that I was playing disco and it wasn't even called disco, because when I cut Bad Luck and The Love I Lost, that made the Blue Notes a disco group. So I guess they had to have a name for it. I mean, I never went in the studio and said, I'm going to cut a disco record. I just went in the studio and said, I'm going to cut a Earl Young groove. And it just so happens that the disco people love that groove, especially the disc jockeys, because they can mix it. I'll record at like a 120 speed, and it was, so the disc jockeys can blend it in at that speed, because I knew they mix and they mix at a 120. So I said, well, let me cut something. Everything I cut, I'm gonna cut it right there so they can mix it in. And that's what kind of helped our records get played, because the club jocks I'm talking about, basically, because that's who drove our records, the club jocks. Not so much the radio, but the club jocks broke it in the clubs. And once it broke in the clubs, then the stations picked it up, because the station used to follow the clubs. And we worked every club in New York, even a little bar with a disco ball hanging down. So we worked everywhere.
When do you remember when you first heard the term, though? You're like doing this music and it's what it is, and then you hear someone just say disco and you're probably like, disco? Right?
Well, I guess when we cut Where the Happy People Go, that was before Disco Inferno. So I guess that was our little thing going into the disco field. But disco is the same as dance music, just gave it a name, and even when they start destroying burning them up in the stadium and stuff like that, it didn't hurt us, because we always worked. If they can burn all the albums they want to. But
when I first started hearing the term, it seems to me I was hearing, like Van McCoy's The Hustle and stuff like that, probably around 74 or something like that, is when I first remember hearing like disco getting thrown around as a genre.
Well, disco really came from the slogan discotheque. It's called the club discotheques. So just short for disco, that's all. It's dance. But I didn't never go into trying to cut no disco records, except for Where the Happy People Go. I did that because we cut Hold Back the Night, which is one of our hits, and we didn't cut. Now Disco Inferno was one of the songs that we had cut disco, because that came from the Towel Inferno movie with the fire up on the roof. Remember that? So that's where that song originally was written, not about the tragedy, but the idea of the party up on the roof, where we say, up on the...
I remember OJ was in that movie. A lot of stars, yeah.
But that's where, and the funny thing, that song got into, it was the last song to go into the Saturday Night Fever album. The last one. I have one they sent me from Saturday Night Fever here. You know, I'm probably one of the few that have it. You know, and Saturday Night Fever, I won a Grammy for that one. I won 2 Grammys on the same albums. I won for the MFSB on there for KG. So I got a Grammy for KG. I got a Grammy for. So I'm standing there with as a drummer and as a singer, and that to me that was fantastic, man, to get on the same album for 2 different groups, MFSB and the Trammps, and I played a big part in both of them. You know, but the Bee Gees got all the credit. But
Right.
that's okay. But that's 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 fine. I mean, I feel like I was a big part of the success of the album because when it
It was a double record. There was a lot of music on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we only had that one Disco Inferno, but it made enough noise around the country because wherever the movie went, we went. So I got a chance to go to places I would have never in my life go to. I couldn't afford to go to. So it was so Disco Inferno and Saturday Night Fever did wonders for me, you know, and it still does because look, I just came out last year, but just in a movie, a television HBO special called Big Little Lies, and we were in uh, season 2, episode 4. They can pull it up online on Big Little Lies, and we appeared in there. I got a little acting part, and we sang Disco Inferno with all the big went to Hollywood with all the big stars in there, Mel Street, you know. So Disco Inferno had done well for me.
It's become timeless. And I remember hearing it well before that movie, before Saturday Night Fever. I remember hearing it well before that.
Yes, it came out and it didn't really wasn't really big. You know, it did okay R&B, but it didn't cross over really big
Yeah.
until Saturday Night Fever really took it to the miles.
Yeah. Congratulations on all that. I mean, that must have been just a whirlwind of excitement when that happened. I mean, Saturday Night Fever was such a phenomenon just all around. So,
Yeah, but the greatest look, some of the greatest things that movie did it for me was it put me on. I met people that I would never ever meet. I mean, I went to the White House twice. You know, we got invited to the White House twice, but Jimmy Carter was there. You know, I had pictures with that. I got a chance to meet Oprah. We did the Oprah show. We did the Ricky Lake show. We did Wendy Williams show. I got a chance to do all the television shows for Disco Inferno. So that song carried me places that I would I guess and then I mean the fact that being inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame. How many musicians get to go and be inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame? It ain't easy to get inducted into that, and probably my drums and stuff will wind up in the museum down there because Joe Chambers, who runs the museum, and he's a great guy, man, and um, I'll probably put all my stuff down in Nashville.
do you have any count of how many records you've appeared on?
Oh man, I played on.
Hundreds.
Well, I know I got over 50 gold albums. That I know, and some of them, I don't. Some of them I didn't even bother to even get. I mean, I got so many, because I said, well, this is enough, you know, because a lot of them was offered to me, and I said, well, what I'm gonna do with them? They just hang like wallpaper.
Yeah.
I mean, they only mean something to me. But I must have played on thousands of records. Some of them I get hits I don't even know. I mean, we played for people that, uh, what happened when I go on Facebook? People pull up records and say, this is you. And I said, what is that? And they play, and that's my first time hearing it. It's so funny. My first time hearing, you know. But I have my favorite songs, like some of my favorite songs are like the Dusty Springfield album that we did, Brand New Me, and Silly Silly Fool. That's one of my favorite albums because I think that woman could sing. I think she's a great artist. So, her and Pickett and the OJs and BB King, and Stylistics,
Hmm.
and the fact that each one of these artists are different. So you can't think
Yeah.
of one like the other one because you have to have a frame of mind that you're going into a different kind of music from each because the Stylistics don't sound nothing like the OJs. So when but the fact is, people still know it's me on playing drums on it, and it's entirely different. So I feel good about having my own sound.
Yeah, in that vein, Earl, I've read that people say that you have the equivalent of perfect pitch for drumming. I don't know if you've seen that term, infallible rhythm, I saw written. Yeah, so do you buy into that? Is it true? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yes, I do because I got picked when I couldn't even read music. So and I used to wonder why, but I found out why because I look at my drums is only an extension of me. When I look at my drums, they are an extension of how I feel. If you feel nothing, you get nothing. So when I look at my drums as a part of me, when I play, it's not just playing the drums. I'm playing a part of me. This is an extension of me. When I sit behind them in the studio, they're they're just putting out what I'm feeling and thinking. And timing is one of the most important things about playing drums. I don't care how fancy you are, timing is the most important thing. And my four on the floor is like a clock. And that's always been my clock. When I hit that, it's like a clock. It has to be on time. I used to time myself with a metronome. I used to put the machine up and time it to make sure that it was close to that. So when I hit the four on the floor, it's on there perfect.
Ever since those phone books and coffee cans, huh?
Yeah, man, the phone books and coffee cans paid off. I tell you that. I think about that. I think about that today, and a lot of most drummers they practice speed. Like I had a lot of drummers say, man, you got to have speed. I said, well, I don't really have to have speed. I said, the only thing I have to have is the right timing. I don't have to have speed. I don't have to play fast. Because a drummer's job is to hold things together. It's not so much for you to leave everybody. My job has always been the foundation of an orchestra. When MFSB, Salsoul Orchestra, I go in there thinking not that I'm going to show off and say I'm the baddest guy. I'm going in there to lead the orchestra, make sure that they're on time, the timing is right, the feeling is right, and they're with me. They're supposed to be with me. If they're not with me, they shouldn't be up on that stage because the drummer controls the whole action. If he's wrong, everybody's going to be wrong.
especially
So
for
they ain't
dan-
about
especially for
fast
danceable
or
music. Yeah.
you have to be correct. And that's what I basically base these. That's what my drums are to me. My drums are as they're here to be a leader for orchestra or any kind of session that I'm at. Because if you notice, most of my songs I recorded, they always have a fill out front. Most of them have a fill out front, or if there's a hole in a record, I'll put a fill in it because I don't like empty spaces. So if you hear one of my records and there's a hole there, I put a drum thing in there, to fill it in to lead the singer into the next. Because most songs is made up of an intro, a verse, a sing along, verse, sing along, bridge, sing along, tag.
Hmm.
That's the way most songs are constructed. You know. But they're not that way nowadays because they're recording different now because they got the machine. They didn't have no drum machine when I was recording. There was no drum machines. There was no click tracks in your ear to make you keep time. If I had to play with a click track, then why are you a drummer if you need a click track in your ear for you to keep time? I never understood that.
Pretty
I
common
ain't
though.
never, I never seen no click tracks.
What
One time they asked me to do a session to do a click track, and it's gonna pay me good. I turned it down because that's to me, that's an idiot thing. If I had something beating in my ear,
like training wheels?
yeah, I mean something clicking in my ear, then you can hire anybody to do that. You hire me to play. So I don't care what you pay me. I refuse to ever use a click track ever.
How did you feel and respond when drum machines came in, like in the 80s?
I bought actually when drum machines when um, drum machines came in, the song called Rocket started it.
Herbie.
That,
Yeah.
that was Herbie. That was the first time I heard some all mechanical. I said, "Oh, this is." I knew it was going to end for me when that came out because anytime you can use all this mechanical stuff and people buy it, I say, "Oh, the end is coming." So when the drum machine came out, my job started getting slim. They were hiring programmers because they can hire one guy and he can program the whole session with strings and horns and stuff like that. But they couldn't get that. They couldn't get my. They can't program my sound because the way I play with my skip beats and fills drum machines, you can't do that.
Mm.
So if you wanted a live sound or my sound, you can't get it on no drum machine. I've seen guys they try it, but you can't because I got that just change up, and I do that on purpose because I don't want anybody to be able to be programming me and then selling it or using it on a record, you know. So, but when the drum machine came out, I bought a Yamaha RX-5. I bought one because I use it for to play with. And I bought the RX-5 Yamaha, which is was one of the first drum machines that you can mix on it. I bought that because I can program a Kuma player, and I can have him playing along with me, and it's got sounds in it. But I bought it for rehearsal parts, for me. But I would never somebody hire me to bring it to a studio. I would never do that. But technology, I always keep up with technology, whether I use it or not. Because if you fall back in technology, then you know.
How'd you feel about sampling when that came out? And I'm sure you were sampled a ton.
Oh, I love samples
Well,
because
now that they're paying, right? But at
I got
first,
an album here. There's an album here by 50 Cent. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it here.
I
It's
can't
called
see.
Fade.
I can't tell it's 50 cent, but I can. See, oh yeah, I see the 50 cent on the DVD there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
CD.
they sampled my song Rubber Band, and and what is that? 5-time platinum. So when you sample somebody's song and you sell 5-time platinum, it's like over $100,000. So and then they sample my same sample for Young Jeezy, same one. Young Jeezy samples it. Then over here, the same song, same one, Rubber Band. Mary J. Blige here, she sampled the same thing. They was the same record company, I guess. So
Wow. Did you ever imagine that you'd see something like that?
now, not till I seen the paycheck coming, when I seen the check come in, I said, well, look, I said, I have nothing against anybody sampling anything of mine, you know. So uh, most of the time they don't sample too much anymore now. Mostly, because music is changing. But yeah, I had 4 artists sample one little piece, and we're singing in the background of it also. So that was that was great to me. I say I'll send them some more stuff to sample.
Early on, though, they weren't paying like that. So,
Well, they don't have to pay, but you have I got attorneys, and there are ways. When they sample, they have to go through certain procedures, and I got some of the great attorneys that you could music attorneys, to handle all my business. So, ever since I started my record company, because ever since I got ripped off of my doo-wop song, Down by the Ocean by the Exceptions, I learned that, because I didn't know, when I was back then, I didn't know nothing about publishing and writers' rights. I just wanted to get up on stage and sing. I was a young guy, wanted to get up on, they gave me a t-shirt and a hamburger and told me to go up there and sing. And I was just happy to get in front of some people and sing. This guy was making tons of money. But that's how you learn. You learn, you get ripped off, and you learn. So I learned about publishing, about writers' rights, about sampling, the percentage and points, and that's taking care of me today at my 80 years. If things I didn't do back then to take care of myself, I wouldn't be having a job. I don't know what I would do now because I've been out of work since the virus here.
mm. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, Earl, is that I'm a big funk music fan, and one of the things that frustrated me in the late '70s to early '80s, was when there was a backlash against disco. A lot of funk kind of got swept away with that, and I always thought funk was very different from disco, but they lumped it together. Could you kind of explain in a nutshell to viewers the difference rhythmically and drumming wise between what they call disco and funk?
Well, let's say one thing first. When disco came out, the ones that got hurt first was the rock and roll guys. They got hurt. They got hurt first because they lost. Everybody was closed down making disco, and the difference between the disco and the R&B funk was disco is more forward. It's more forward. It's more like free dance. R&B is more laid back into you take like Memphis and so laid back feel. So that's funk. So disco and funk is two different kinds of music, really. It's not going. It doesn't really come. It really doesn't come together. You can't put a laid back groove, you know, and then play this. Disco is disco. Disco is all forward. Everything is here.
More high energy, yeah.
Yeah, and R&B music is more laid back. R&B music can be slow, and R&B music can be fast. Disco is strictly about really dancing and up tempo. Although you can have some slow disco songs too, but when you go to a disco, you don't want to hear no slow songs. You want the space to be sweating. When you go to an R&B place, you want to sit back on a seat and either watch the artist singing, or you just get up and groove. Like I work a lot of the ships, a lot of the cruise. I do a lot of cruise work, and a disco cruise is not like an R&B, not like an R&B cruise. R&B cruise is different. They like to sit back and really and enjoy the artist that's singing. Just sit back in the seats and just watch, which is good, you know. But mostly disco, people want to be a part of what you're doing. They want to get up and make noise and dance and sing along with you, And which is all good too. So it's really about, to me, it's about what you like. You know, we don't sing too much R&B. We don't do R&B shows. We do basically all dance shows. When we get booked, people come to dance, shout, turn that mother out, burn baby burn. That's what they look for us to do. They don't look to sit down. And if they're sitting down, all I gotta do is say get up and get in the aisles, and they up right away, dance in the aisles, go up on stage dance. That's what we about. We about, if you were back in the day, everybody used to go dancing back in the day. I mean, to the discos. So we're just reviving. Most of the people in the disc back then now is my age. Some young, but they snuck in, and some is younger. But they were all dancing back then, you know, just like John Travolta did in the movie. So what we're doing, we reviving their old, making them have memories of what they did when they didn't have any children, or they were single. They had all that hair. The guys had that hair.
Polyester and bell bottoms and
Yeah,
yeah.
I tease the guys and say, yeah, now you remember when you had all your hair up here now, right? It's all gone, you know. And they be laughing, man. I said, yeah, the women, you didn't have no children. You can go anywhere you wanted to go. You didn't need no babysitters, you know. So we take them back to the good times when they were, you know, free. And it's the same thing with R&B music too. The same thing, because when the R&B crowd go to R&B show, they sit there and they can remember the days when they were dating and dancing in the house parties. And so, you know, I guess without music, the world wouldn't go.
Music touches you like nothing else can, and brings back memories like nothing else can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just feel lucky. I feel lucky to still be here to be able to share a lot of great memories and still be able to perform. You know, I'm not as fast on my feet as I was in '79, but if I can still get down a little bit, you know.
Do you ever get a little tired of playing some of those songs over and over again? How do you keep it fresh and fun for yourself?
Every time I jump in my truck, I hear one of my songs, you know. So I keep it tuned to Siri. I keep it on there. So when I get in there, who pops up? Where the happy people go? So it's always fresh to me when I hear it, you know, because as soon as I hear it, it gives me a flashback. Oh yeah, yeah, that was that, man. That was, and like I said, one of our songs plays somewhere every day.
But I would mean when you're playing like those cruises and that kind of thing, and you're actually performing. How do you keep it fresh for yourself?
Oh, well, most of my original guys are gone. Most of the guys I had been with me like 30 years, because we broke up. The Trammps broke up in '79, and I got new guys been with me over 30 years. So we're like family. I mean, you know, Antoine Young, Rennie Rankins, AJ Jackson. These are my other three guys. We've been together for so long that we like brothers. I mean, what we do is when we go on stage, it's just like us, like we do in a pool, playing pool or something. Okay, let's go up here and have some fun today, you know, and we just like having fun with people. It ain't like going, oh, I gotta do a show, we're gonna work. I mean, we on stage on and off, we the same. We party on stage and party off stage. So it's always new to us when we come to a new crowd. You know, we go to Vegas, you know, same way. It's always exciting going to a new town and seeing people come up to you. Oh man, I remember you back then. I remember that. So that makes us feel fresh and young when people say, "I remember this. I remember this song. I had my kid on this song," and or whatever. So people keep you refreshed. You know, that's the thing that keeps you going, and especially when you get up in age. I mean, I never been one to want to sit in McDonald's and play checkers. You know, I gotta go, man. Look, give me a flight here or give me, I've been home now for quite a while with this virus, and it's killing me. But it's okay because I get a chance to spend a lot of time, with my wife who manages me and the group, and Sylvia, her name is Sylvia. She takes care of everything, all the business. So I've been home and being able to get some work done around the house. We've been able to spend more time together, and so that means it's been rough. But I like to get back to work again because I always like to stay busy and meet people, autographs and things like that.
I saw looking at all your credits that you continued recording at least into the 90s. I don't know how recent you've done more stuff, but I saw you listed with people like Phyllis Hyman and Evelyn King and things like that.
Yeah, but I never recorded with Evelyn. And then I didn't never record with Evelyn. Evelyn, she always had her own producer. I never did with her, although she's like a sister, to me. And Phyllis Hyman, I did Phyllis Hyman stuff, on a couple of days, I guess maybe a week or so before she passed. I did do some ballads on Phyllis, and but I think she was one of the last Philadelphia acts that we done.
So, what was the last time you were in the studio making records, do you think?
Well, I only recorded at one studio in my whole life. That was Sigma Sound at 12th and Race in Philadelphia, and that's closed down some time ago. So, and when my partners Norman Harris and Ronnie, when they passed, it kind of hurt me because I didn't really feel like doing sessions anymore because I've only played with them all my life,
Mm.
and when I wasn't able to play with them anymore, I kind of lost my inspiration to really make records. So I stopped doing sessions because I mean these guys been with me all my life, and since there hasn't been many sessions, I just don't do them. I've been offered to do some sessions, but you know, without them, it's just not the same. And Sigma Sound Studio is gone. You know, I do go. I'm not in Philly anymore, but I do go to Philly regular because I do have. I'm blessed. I have 5 plaques in Philadelphia on the street. I call them my stars. I have 5. Two. I have one in front of the Academy of Music, with my name. And I have one in front of the Kimball Center in Philadelphia on Broad Street, the Trammps. And I have MFSB on the street, and the Salsoul Orchestra, I have a plaque. So, when I walk down the streets of Philadelphia on Broad Street, I can walk down and see all my, and I feel great. I feel great about that, man, because, as a kid, growing up, with holes in your shoes, but nothing. And one day to have your name put on a sidewalk, that means an awful lot because that'll be there when I'm gone.
Wow, incredible, incredible, Earl.
But I never really considered myself like greatness. I never thought of myself like that. I've always been thankful and blessed for all the things that have happened good for me. But I never felt like, well, I'm the bad Earl Young. I'm the dude. I never felt like that because I think if you ever start feeling like that, you'll lose. And I never want to make myself think or feel that I'm better than anybody else because I still talk to the guy that picks up my trash in the day. He's just as good as what I am. And I've always tried to keep myself low key like that because, you know, it doesn't make me any better than anybody else because I have all this gold behind me or I'm not out here lifting trash.
Hmm. That's a great attitude. It's an admirable attitude that I would wish everybody had. Um, were there any other drummers throughout all the years, that you sort of admired, in popular music?
Well, I'm like this. I admire all drummers because they're on the the same trade I'm into, and I respect all drummers because it's a job. You know, their job is to play drums if they're playing behind somebody or they're just playing for themselves. You know, I don't look at one drummer being better than the other drummer. It's a job. And I might take a guy that be playing in the corner bar with two drums, and here's a guy with 50 drums up on stage. So he ain't no better than the guy in the bar, just that he's more well known and had his chance to be successful. But a drummer that takes up a pair of sticks, to me, deserves the same thing as somebody that had the opportunity to have a break. I was just there at the right time in the right place to be successful.
But you didn't have any particular favorites?
I've always, I won't say favorites. I've always admired different drummers for what they do. You know, I look at the Rolling Stones. I look at the drummer, not for how great they are, but for the way he plays. I said he plays laid back. He's not a great drummer, but he plays laid back, and he's been successful. Anytime you can be successful in whatever you do, you're good. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I look at Bernard Purdie. He's a great R&B drummer. I don't compare myself to say I'm better than somebody. I look at what he does, and you know, I'm happy that he's been successful. Or I look at, I mean, I got so many drummers from back in the day, from Art Blakely, Gene Cooper, Max Roach. I look at the old timers, and I look at them, and I see what they did, and I still have respect for them. And I look at the drummers today that's coming up, but I don't compare one and say one is better than the other one, or I don't even say that I'm better than another drummer. This is what I do. This is my style, and I've been successful at doing it. So I look at another drummer, you know, like I look at Gene Cooper. You know, I look at some of the old tapes, and I won't say that he's the best drummer. I said he's good at what he does. You know, because another drummer might be sitting, because he might be sitting next to Art Blakely. Art Blakely is another old timer, and he's good at what he does. So if this is your trade and you're good at it, I give you both props. But I don't have nobody that I want to say that I ever wanted to be like or play like. Because once you start trying to be like somebody else, you actually lose what you got. So if I sit back and say, oh man, I want to play just like this guy, then they won't know who I am. So when I play me, whether it's good or bad, whether they like it or they don't. What they say, that's Earl Young playing. Not that he's the greatest drummer, but that's Earl Young. And that's the way I look at the drummers.
Signature, yeah.
That's how I look at each drummer. They've been successful. You know, I'm happy for them because there's a lot of drummers that's coming up today that are great. I mean, you look at when you go to a college and they have the drum line. The drum line has about maybe 10 to 15 drummers in the drum line. Each one of these drummers is going to come out of college and buy a set and play drums and maybe be successful. So there's always a drummer that's coming up. You know, it's like a fighter. You be the champion, somebody come up and beat you. So if you start looking at yourself as being the best, and then when these little young boys come up here and whip your butt, you start saying, Jesus. So I never considered myself the greatest. I always considered myself the Earl Young groove. This is my groove, and this is what I do. You take it or leave it. But I know there's always going to be thousands of drummers coming up from college, mostly from college, from the drum line. You know, each school has a drum line. These guys can play. I mean, if you can play a drum line, you learn to play. I didn't learn from the drum line, but most college guys that's in the drum line can play. Mm-hmm. And most of them can read music. So when they get older, they're going to be drummers. You know, people don't look at it like that. But I know, because I know, you know, when I started up, I came up a little harder than they did, but I had determined that I was going to be great. I had that determined in my mind when I was a kid that I was going to be successful, and I wasn't going to let nothing stop me from being successful. The ups and the downs and the little club bars I worked into where they don't pay you no mind, they turn your back, sit a beer bottle on your drums. I mean, I worked these houses, man. They put a chicken sandwich on your drum while you're playing and they talking to somebody. But I came up through the hard way. You know, that's just different from me and then from a guy going to school to learn how to play. So I respect that.
Now, I heard that you're involved in a documentary being made. Is that true?
Yeah, so yeah, we have a movie. It's going to be coming out early part of 21. I don't know who's going to be in it. I'm thankful that I'm going to be in it. They got a closure where you really can't talk too much about things coming out. But I'm not sure who's going to be into it. But I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about it because when you get a certain age, people forget you, and like me being 80 years old, and they still give me that respect. To me, I feel good about that because they can get some of these some of these other young guys that's known on some of these drum magazines. So I feel good about being but it's a disco movie, and who knows better about disco than me? I lived it as a singer, and I lived it as a drummer, and I created the four on the floor disco beat. So I'm
Exactly.
excited about this because um, it's a shame, because we had to do it like this because of the virus. But I think it's going to be good.
Is it Netflix?
I'm not really sure. I think it might be a part of HBO. I'm not
Oh,
really sure yet, but
okay.
um, I'll know soon when they finish. They're still shooting, so
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that for sure. And absolutely, they couldn't have picked a better person to be in it than yourself. Um, Earl, you're very pragmatic about all this as we're talking, but as you look back on the whole deal, is there anything in particular that you're most proud of accomplishing? I know you mentioned the 2016 Music Hall of Fame, Musicians Hall of Fame. Is there one thing though that really stands out to you?
um, it's always hard because I love I really love singing. I really love singing because singing takes me in front of people. I love that because I get to meet all races of people, all kind of people, and people that's from all over the world. So to me, that's that's really my everything. But it's a lot. I tell you what, all the things I've done, there's nothing I could never do any of this if I didn't have my wife, really, because she's been there with me since over 40 years,
Hmm.
and she does everything for me. I mean, everything, because a lot of things I didn't even know how to do. She does. Like with you and I talking, she set that up.
Yeah, I thank her for that.
You know, come here a minute, say hi. Come here a minute.
We're gonna see
Come here.
Sonia.
Come here a minute. Yeah, yeah, this is my baby. This is my baby. This is my baby.
Hey,
That's
nice to see
Phyllis.
you. Thank you.
Yes, my manager, my wife, my cook,
I'm leaving.
and everything.
Most
So
valuable player, everything. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for 40 years.
that's
So
awesome.
the music business, it really have been good to me. But it's only one thing that I really can't quite figure out, and because look, I have 3 Grammys, 5 stars. I started my own disco beat. I got the successful group. the Trammps. I got over 50 gold albums. I've had my own record company, and I still be overlooked by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I said, and they know I'm alive because they know my group, the Trammps, too. But I said, at least if they don't put me in there, they could at least nominate. If I was nominated, I would feel like they know who I am. And when you're not here, it doesn't mean as much to you because you ain't here. So I don't want to be I don't want to be 6 feet under. And they say, "Oh, Earl Young, yeah, I remember him." So I want to smell my flowers now. So maybe, and so things like what I'm doing with you, that always helps a lot because it's being recognized. You're getting me recognized in front of some of the members that belong to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's one of the things I would really love to be in before I leave this planet. Not just so much for me, but for my grandkids, and just for the fact of my accomplishments that I worked so hard to do to be appreciated. So that's one of my goals. That one day, I would hope to be inducted into that. I was talking to the Joe Chambers at Nashville in the Musicians Hall of Fame, and there's a thing called the Riff that they're thinking about inducting me in. The Riff is when you have a special gift that you do on a record that nobody else does, and they give that award out to Garth and a lot of other artists. So they was talking about putting me up for that next year, which I hope, because that would be an honor. That would be an honor because that's something I created, my own four on the floor. So I'm looking forward that if they vote me in on something like that, that'll be a great achievement to me also.
Well, if I had a vote, you definitely have it. But I think that this show and things like this will hopefully help in that way. So,
Well, you the man. Come on,
yeah. And I want to correct an error. I think I said Sonia instead of Sylvia. I want to make sure I get that right. Respect to your wife, Sylvia. So thank you to her. Is there a way people can keep in touch with what you're up to?
What would be the best way? Yeah, well, I'm I guess a longtime member of Facebook. I think I started it. I've been on it so long, but I have a Trammps featuring Earl Young on Facebook. Everybody, usually hit me on there under the Trammps, or either my main page, Earl Young, and if they hit me on there as I'll talk to them and I'll answer whatever questions they have, and especially the fan page there with the Trammps featuring Earl Young. They ask me a question, I'll answer it. If there's a wrong question, I'll delete it.
That's fair.
But basically, that's me right there. I'm always Facebook because I can socialize with people and be direct, talking to them because there's not many people around from Philadelphia, Sound of Philadelphia anymore. So a lot of people ask me questions about back in the day because there is nobody else left gambling up Tommy Bell. So they ask me a lot on Facebook, and if I know thing, I tell them, I'll answer the questions. But people ask me, well, how did it Sound of Philadelphia get started, or how did it, sometimes it's some stupid questions, but I answer them. I answer them anyway, because like to me that's like part of my family, and they might be somebody that really want to know. Then I got a lot of other people that just ask me questions just to be asking something.
Yeah.
But it's all fun though. It's all fun, man. And Facebook is like a family.
Well, thank you for sharing so much history with me during this. And, you were requested by viewers to be on Truth and Rhythm. So, very glad to have been able to get you. Yeah.
I have to thank him for that. Thank you very much, everybody out there. I appreciate it. Okay. My best for everybody out there. And please wear your mask and stay safe.
Absolutely. And you stay safe too. And thanks for bringing us all those great beats and those songs and everything all these years. Thank you, Earl.
Thanks, God. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure. Take good care. Hey, back at Truth and Rhythm headquarters. Thank you for joining us on another magical ride with Truth and Rhythm. Whether you're watching or listening, as always, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. Be sure to subscribe. Go to YouTube, go to the Funk and Stuff channel. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes and thrives. Also, goodies here like TIR quick takes. And if you subscribe, you know what? You get the show before anyone else. It's free. If you love jazz, funk, R&B, soul, you can't miss it. Pass it along. Tell a friend. Tell family. This audience is growing, and it is a beautiful thing, all coming together for the love of this great music. Also, if you can throw us a buck or two, we could use the support financially, keeping the lights on, keeping the servers going, all these expenses. If you can help support the program, whatever you can give, much appreciated. Go to the funkandstuff.net website, and on the right hand side of every page, you just click and you can donate through PayPal, credit card, whatever. Very easy to do and so much appreciated. And if you do a sizable donation, I will mention you on the program. Also, drop me a line. Email me at scottg@funkandstuff.net. Let me know who else you'd like to see on the show, what you enjoy about the music. Let's just kibitz and talk about stuff, talk music. You'll find that I respond very quickly, and I much enjoy the rapport and the camaraderie and the interaction. Always remember, this is your show, The True Music Lover. So for now, that's all the time we have for this one. It's a wrap. As always, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.